Hello and welcome to this week's HI Bull Bear Market Report. This is for the week of August 13th, 2018. And before we get started, there are some important disclosures. If you get anything out of these disclosures, it is that the only thing certain about the stock market is uncertainty. So let's jump right into it. Our agenda for today, we're going to go over the broad market readings, and then we're going to get into the theme of this week's action plan. So first things first, when we look at the broad market, we look at first and foremost 12-month momentum. We measure the S&P 500, the MSCI All World ex-USA Index, and short-term treasuries. Whichever one is outperforming on a 12-month basis, that's the one that we want to focus on. So right now, the S&P 500 is absolutely crushing the MSCI All World ex-USA Index and short-term treasuries. And that's why that's why we want to focus on the U.S. markets right now. So that's one thing. Second thing is when we look at the stage of the S&P 500 or the price action, you can see that we're in this channel that we started back in January. So the S&P 500 has been trending sideways. The S&P 500 in January, towards the middle of January, started to come down, and we bounced up a couple of times. We're on the leg up to testing that high that was set back in January. On this particular move to the top side of the S&P 500, we've got three legs, three very noticeable legs, and so that is not necessarily a good thing. After three legs, it's called a wedge, and that would be this could possibly be a wedge top. And so there are three things that are bearish about price action right now. Number one is that the three legs that I just mentioned. We've had three pushes to the upside. That's a wedge, possible top. Second thing is that we're at resistance back from January. That's the second thing. Third and final thing is that we received a sell signal last week. Now, it doesn't mean that the S&P 500 is going to go into a correction or even worse, a bear market, but it does mean that the bearish case is very, very clear right now. There's also a bullish case. There always is. There's always a bull case. There's always a bear case. But right now, the bear is very noticeable right now. The other thing that we're looking at coming into this week is the correction risk according to breadth. Breadth is the number of stocks that are advancing or declining with the index. So in this case, with the S&P 500, we've had these advances, right? Well, breadth, the number of stocks, has not been increasing with the S&P 500. So that has formed a negative divergence. In a in a healthy market, you want to see, when the index increases, you want to see the number of stocks or breadth increase with the indices. We just haven't seen that. So all of those things together, when we combine them, we look at the barometer. The barometer is again, all these things combined, it's all added up. The barometer has come off of its bullish stance. Still bullish longer term, but on the shorter term, it has turned a little bit more bearish. Still bullish, but has turned more bearish. So there we are. As far as the operating plan or the theme for this week, we are looking to take risk off of the table. Look, international markets are not looking very good right now at all. We've had a large pullback in them, a relatively large, and then we've seen a little bit of a bounce, and now they're starting to retrace again. They just can't seem to make any headway to the upside. So when you see a large bounce like that, or a large fall down and a breakout to the downside, and we don't see immediate retracement, that just builds the case for the bears. And so right now, it's not looking good for international markets. So the theme, taking risk off the table. If we get stopped out on those international positions, we've only got a couple, but if we do, we're going to stop out. We're not going to mess around with that. The second thing is if on the U.S. sectors that are doing well, when we've bought in and they've risen, we might take some profits off if they hit our price targets. So we're close to those two things happening. Don't know if they'll happen this week, but that's really what we're going to be paying attention to and really watching closely. So with that, have a great week, and we'll talk to you next time.